Hi everyone, my name is Mike Aguilar. You can just call me Moog. I'm the Director of Esports and Co-Curricular Innovation at the University of Oklahoma. And I want to welcome you to the 6th annual Bedlam series with our Oklahomies from the North in Gamers of OSU at Oklahoma State University. Now this year is special to us because it's the first time that we're not only continuing the tradition of 6 years of rivalry that have always been focused on a philanthropic cause that typically benefits kids in need. This time, we have selected the Oklahoma Children's Hospital in the heart of OKC as that benefactor, and we're actually doing the first day of programming and inside of the hospital itself. The second day, which is this year is Oklahoma State's year to host, will be hosted in their esports arena in the basement of their union. So one of the things that I want to highlight before we get into this is that you're about to watch a panel from alumni on the OU esports side about where they're at now and how our program has contributed to them. And these are significant narratives that we want to present, as many people still define the topics of what we represent collectively as purely being at a high tier of competition. But yet students are absolutely learning skills that benefit them in job placements and career placements and in what they want to accomplish in the best forms of whatever they choose to become. So sit back and relax and watch the rivalries unfold. And if you are absolutely a Sooner household or a Cowboy household, we urge you to contribute to help kids that absolutely need help, especially going into the holiday season. So there will be a QR code up here, probably while I was talking. Please scan that and think about throwing a couple bucks this way. And throughout the weekend, that QR code will be up multiple times. So sit back, relax, Boomer Sooner, pistols firing. Let's get this going. Welcome to Bedlam 2023.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anita Lee. I am the current Alumni Advisory Board Chair. And joining me today are 3 of the OU Esports alumni from various parts of the development within our program. So first off, I wanted to kick off by saying we decided to put together an alumni panel to just really kind of discuss the impacts of all of our involvement in OU Esports and how it's positively impacted our career paths moving forward. So first off, I'll have Zach introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I was the marketing director for OU Esports from May of 2020 to May of 2022, and currently social content specialist for Learfield at Indiana University.
Awesome. Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine, and I was marketing director, and then that switched to marketing coordinator. I currently work part-time at 2 jobs at a pharmacy and then doing research in a lab.
Fantastic. And then Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon Foz Viadial, and the previous roles that I did started off with in the production side and slash news and media being a shoutcaster, and then with the shoutcaster was also an editor for the news and media team slash on-air personality. Then that led into intercollegiate to play on the Halo team. I was coach, player, manager throughout that time. And then I became a production, pretty much assistant to the director, or like a production lead, a production lead. And I finished off my time there being intercollegiate with production. And then now I currently work at, it's called the Boeing Center at Techport Gaming is what it's called. So I work part-time there, but also in the concert/production side here and also the building. So it's like, it's a venue, but it serves its purposes with like esports and also with concerts and stuff.
Awesome. Well, I think it's really clear to say all 4 of us have kind of veered off into very different paths. And I think that's so special that something like OU Esports or just gaming in general has really branched out into so many different industries. So I'm going to start with Christine. What led you to joining OU Esports and on the development side specifically? And how did you end up being in the marketing spot?
So way back when I did this little leadership camp, and that's kind of how I met Zach, through the leadership camp. And randomly, while we were execs for this, he was like, "Hey, are you in the OU gaming server?" And asked me if I wanted to apply for it. And at the very last minute, probably like 11:30 the night that the application was due, I signed up for it on a whim. Because at the time I really liked playing games for fun. And I was like, I do kind of like this social media thing that I'm doing for another org. But I didn't have a lot of control over what I was able to post and the content that I was posting. And there wasn't a lot of organization there. So I was like, if I do this, and I know Zach, and I know how Zach functions with social media, then I might be able to be silly, fun, goofy on social media, and it would be really fun, and it'd be a good kind of side quest to what I was doing with my pre-med biochem stuff.
And Zach, I think you have a pretty unique story of how you discovered and fell into our beautiful organization.
Yeah, so when I was a senior in high school, I feel like that was when I really first found out about esports. Overwatch League had just started, the Dallas Fuel, the inaugural season. And when I was looking at colleges, one of the things I started looking at was, do they have esports there? If so, like what kind of like level are they at? Was it club, like sponsored, things of that nature? And so I had already been accepted to OU when I was like, let me see if they have esports there. Saw that it was an esports association at OU at the time. And then saw a contact form, which got sent to Mike. And that led to me meeting him, Callie, and Jack, two of the original leadership members at PAC South in San Antonio, January of my senior year of high school, and then just got involved starting then. And just had a multitude of different roles within the organization, but loved every second of it.
Very nice. I'm going to come back to that story a little bit, but Brandon, you clearly have touched many of the different pillars in the development side. How did all of this get started, and kind of what led to your journey ultimately in the production space as well as being a player?
So it all kind of started when I got an email when I was there starting my master's. It was during August of 2020. I got one of the I was gonna say worldwide emails, but one of the university-wide emails that gives you the different clubs and things that are going on. But I got one that said OU Gaming, and I believe OU Gaming Club is what it was, and it said like underneath like some anime and other things like that. So I was like, oh sweet, like I don't know anybody here. Everybody in my cohort's a lot older than me. They didn't really share a lot of my interests. So then when I got that, I was like, oh, sweet, let me find some other people that like to do what I do, because I've always just been a gamer and always into that kind of culture. So that I joined into it. And like after the first meeting, I wanted to just like they said, oh yeah, you can do this, and if you want to come and do shoutcasting, go for it. If you want to help with production, go for it. If you want to help with news and media, go for it. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So then after that initial meeting, I messaged the director, Mike Aguilar Moog. I messaged him and said, can we talk after one of my night classes? So I got home around like 10. And then after the night class, got home at 10, called him, and then we had a call from like about like 10:30 all the way to like 2 in the morning, and that kind of sold it for me after us talking about everything that it's about and everything, the stuff that he has done previously and what OU Esports was shooting for at the time. And it just really like warmed my heart, and we connected very well, and I found really a mentor throughout that. So once that kind of went that way, I just put my head in the books, and then also in OU Esports, to where it was the gaming side at first, and then it led me to the development side more. First it was the club, and then I took my time to go into the development side and help out anywhere I really could. I wasn't really looking for more of like the bigger roles just because of schoolwork and everything. I was looking just for I guess as many different of my interests that I could do, I've tried to do, and then help boost the club and everything as much as I could throughout my time there. But all the sides, I really enjoyed it, and it kind of led me just into my career now with my really diverse resume.
That's awesome. I noticed the common thread between both Zach and Brandon, and I know this also applies to Christina if you didn't explicitly say so. It looks like the relationship you built with the director, Moog, as well as existing leadership at the time, really did play a huge role in kind of getting you into the leadership side of things and being more involved on development. Aside from that, how do you feel, being part of development and being part of all the programming and stuff has impacted, the way you kind of look at your new career paths? I know many of you, well, most of us didn't end up in the esports space. And I would love to hear kind of, especially for, our future donors or parents that are watching this, how can being involved in OU esports still benefit, even if you don't end up going into the path of esports? So I'll start with Christine. It looked like she was thinking of an answer there.
So, as someone that didn't go into what I did in OU Esports, so I did marketing and I went into anything but marketing. I think it was really neat to be able to meet everyone that wasn't part of my major because I finished school in 3 years, which meant I was constantly studying, constantly with people that were in the same classes as me. So I got to meet a lot of different people and reconnect with some people that I knew from high school that were doing like news and media or video production. People on very, very different paths and people that took different paths to get to where they were when I met them. And I think like you inherently know that everyone's going to be on different paths and everyone is going to learn at a different pace and maybe take a break between high school and college or take a little bit of a break during college. But you don't really understand that until you meet someone and start talking to them. So I think being in esports really helped me see that in action, but then also something that I learned a lot was talking to non-science people about science and making them interested in it because I can talk to my dad and I can talk to my mom. My mom won't understand most of it because of the language barrier, but my dad will understand most of it because he's an engineer and I can kind of explain it in engineer terms what chemistry does. But I cannot explain for the most part to news and media people, journalism majors, like just different types of majors, what chemistry does and what is happening in the labs that I'm working in or what's going on at the pharmacy. And it's a different way to communicate. And I think that has really helped me be able to talk to people that are in the field, but not have it drone on and on and on about specifics and kind of hit those highlights instead. So
That's an incredible answer, especially I can imagine as you're potentially pursuing med school in the near future, that's going to be such a huge asset, being able to show that you can talk about these really tough topics to a general audience. Because that's one of the scariest parts going to a doctor is, the jargon. So if you already have that skill set established because of your interactions within OU Esports, I think that is going to be a major player for you. So I love hearing that. Zach, how about you? I know that you dabbled a little bit in esports once you left OU. I'd love to hear more about kind of your impact and where you decided to take esports.
Of course. I'm currently working in college athletics, which I feel like is very similar to esports, both collegiate and professional in a lot of ways. I feel like the biggest way, at least that I see, is how fast and how quick turnaround times are, especially with the environment and college playoffs getting closer as we enter like mid-November. There's a lot of times where it's like, hey, we need a graphic to get out to our students for marketing purposes, or we need a schedule, 4x4 schedule card to get out in print. And so having that knowledge and that experience in esports where Mike is like, hey, can we get a social media graphic or score graphic put up? And just having that fast turnaround time has been really helpful, preparing me for this position, as well as I feel like being adaptable, similar ways to the quick turnaround times. There's a lot of times, a lot of points, at least in this past season, where it's like, hey, do A. Oh, actually, and then a day later, like, oh, actually, do B instead. And so being very versatile and being able to adapt to all sorts of situations, just those experiences within esports as a marketing director, even as a player and part of the news and media team, have definitely helped contribute to my, I guess, readiness for my position that I'm currently in.
Awesome. Would you also say that the network you might have built being part of OU Esports and the connections you've made kind of helped when you were starting to do the job search and kind of like already knowing a little bit more about the industry?
100%. My parents and I feel like so many people always say it's not what you know, it's more about who you know. And through my roommates and people I've met through both esports and outside of that at OU, that network of people to rely on has been so helpful, especially in the job search. And I feel like for everyone who's searching for a job, it's so difficult. It's so tough. I'm extremely grateful to be in the spot that I'm in, but having that network of people to rely on, whether it's like, hey, if you see something, could you like send it my way? Or hey, would you be able to write a resume or be a reference for me? It's just so helpful having all those people in your corner.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the main reasons the Alumni Advisory Board was formed earlier this year was to start providing a little bit more structure around those types of scenarios and providing more path to careers after, right? And kind of providing some of those professional development opportunities to help our development students, refine their interview skills and kind of work on their resume. So glad it worked out. Okay, Brandon, so you're the only one who really landed in the esports space. How was your experience and your journey within OU Esports kind of paramount to where you are today?
It's really kind of everything about it because I went there obviously to do my master's and continue my education, and I wanted to be a professor at the time to come back and help teach classes here in San Antonio and do other things like that, or any college I could. But just like any other job field, as Zach was saying, that it's really hard to find a lot of openings for being a teacher and everything else like that towards education and specifically what you want to teach and where you want to teach. It's really hard to find that. But throughout my time there, it really ignited my passion again to actually help push me through a lot of my degree through esports and everything that I learned from just taking weekends to spend time with like OKC pals, and then also going to do some more of the high school stuff with OKSE, and then taking more in-person events once it started kind of coming around, and like just trying to build community and see different people there. A lot of that led to us being like us being able to go to do different productions for some pageants there on campus to help around with different communities in OU, and not just the OU esports, but everything that I learned from there, from learning how to stream, learning how to talk in front of really the camera, and a lot of other people that there are just tons of people in front of us, ranging from kids that are younger to also older. I have about like 60 computers in this venue that I have to watch over. So then there's a lot of kids from all ages, as young to like as my niece, all the way old enough to really just be like older than my dad. So like there's so many different people that come in here, and it actually taught me so many different ways through OU esports to help show me this stuff through online work. And now once I came here and started working in the esports space, I started just learning more of the in-person things that I need to kind of go around there. OU helped me kind of set the foundation for everything and build my diverse resume to where at the time a lot of people didn't have anything in esports. They just wanted to be in esports just because, oh, it looks cool and looks fun. Everybody wants to be on the competitive side. Everyone wants to be on the team. Everybody wants to play for this, but you need all the other people showing it, do the transitions, casting over the game, adding to the hype, showing people there, because people that want to play, they get their play, then move on. The rest of the people help kind of build the community and culture around it. And that's what I loved about it. And I wanted to do everything that I did over in Oklahoma, helping with like kind of the K through 12 pipeline, but take it back home to San Antonio, Texas. And I was lucky enough that this venue is being opened during my time at OU, that when I'd come back home, I'd come and volunteer for different big events such as like LTC, which is Lost Tech City. Right now we have a Smash tournament going on in my venue right now. So that's why you hear the announcers and a bunch of people here. But this is the community that it's helped me build and help build different things. And I can only attest to OU Esports for that, for me to get me to where I am now. And we just went over a high school league this weekend for all the high schools in San Antonio. So like all over, all the way up to like Cibolo, which is a little bit farther if you know kind of the demographic around. We have all these different school districts, and all these different school districts that come in here. We have about like 600 people, 600 to 1,000 on ranging in every weekend, to where I help learned everything from OU to come over here, especially because there's different different demographics and how to talk to different people that play different games. Each game is a different community. Each inside the game has a bunch of smaller communities, and then in every title has different communities that way. So meeting a bunch of different people through esports has helped me gather all that information and kind of use it to talk to all the different people that come in here, because I do get a lot of people that help build San Antonio from like the ground up and put a lot of money into the city, and I help show them the advantages of esports, and just even being able to use some of this equipment here helps spark some of these kids' interest on the south side of town, because it's a big 20-year plan to grow this whole side. Sorry, I know it
Wow.
was a long answer, but yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's great. You actually touched on a lot of points that I'm glad were brought up because, first of all, like thank you so much for your dedication to K-12 and students. And I know you're technically, working right now and taking time to do this panel with us. But for a lot of people that are listening to this, maybe they don't realize that OU Esports does actually do a lot of philanthropic involvement. So one of the ones that, or two of the ones that Brandon mentioned, OKSC, which is the Oklahoma Scholastic Esports Association, as well as OKC PAL, which is the Police Athletic League, are two incredible organizations here in Oklahoma that are really focused on transforming K through 12 students' lives through structured esports programming, whether that's through working with schools, or they're kind of doing their own thing. And OU Esports has partnered with them officially and does a lot of mentorship work. So our Rocket League team does a lot of work with OKC PAL. All of our team attends the OKSC championship tournaments, as well as provides a lot of coaching kind of workshops. So we do a lot there, and I can see how that has greatly influenced what Brandon has decided to do with his career, and definitely can see the huge positive impact there. So thank you so much for continuing to work with our students in need. Definitely not an easy job. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's all thanks to everything there. And it just kind of helps with everything that I do. So I just got kind of lucky that everything goes kind of worked out. So, but yes.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm sure people that are listening will kind of start to piece together all those different events and how it really does impact everyone's lives, whether you end up in the esports field or not. So I'm gonna close this up with the last question. So for all of our younger listeners, what is some advice that you, as an alumni, a few years away from after finishing college, would give, whether it's about how to find internships, the job experience, career suggestions? I'll start with Zach.
I feel like my best piece of advice is don't get discouraged. I think I applied for like over 120 something jobs before I got this one. And there was a lot of time where my parents were like, "Hey, are you applying for jobs?" And I'm like, "I am," but it was so easy to get rejected or get like an interview and like, "Oh, you'll hear back soon." And then 2 weeks go by and you're like, "Oh, sorry, we're going with someone else." And then just you're like, they make you wait so long just to get like upset. And funny story is, before I got offered the job that I'm in now, 5 minutes before I got a call saying, "Hey, do you want this job?" I got a call from another job saying, "Hey, we chose someone else over you." And so it was just a big giant roller coaster.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd say, I think it's very like cliche, like don't give up. So
I think that's a very good piece of advice for even for me, who have been out of college for nearly a decade now. That's scary to think about, guys. I do remember the first time I was looking for a job, and it takes months, and sometimes it takes years. It really depends on so many different factors, from the industry you're trying to go into, and the job market and, are we in a recession right now, or how's the state of the economy? So not getting discouraged is really, really important, and surrounding yourself with those positive influences. So
Of
I like
course.
that piece of advice. Christine, Miss Giggly over there.
So my word of advice is to never back down. Kind of piggybacking off of
Look at
Zach's yeah, off of Zach's answer is I applied for my pharmacy job starting in January, and basically the way that that online application worked was you had to reapply every 3 months because your application expired. And so I applied from everywhere from around Norman to Moore, which is about 20 minutes away. Um, and I didn't get a job until July at that pharmacy. But when I got there, my boss was like, well, first of all, during our interview, I had COVID. So like things just don't go right, okay? But I had COVID and she called me and she's like, "Hey, can I set up an interview? I would really like to interview you. And I know you've been trying to like set up an interview time." And I was like, "I have COVID right now and I can't talk and my throat hurts." And she's like, "Well, your resume looks good. So I'm just going to hire you anyways. Expect an email within like a day or two." And so I think um, you just have to really put your best foot forward, and a lot of things are going to go wrong and you're going to feel like everything's falling apart, and there's going to be like small children screaming at you sometimes, and you're just going to have to go with it and do the best with what you have. um Even if you are like a senior in high school, a freshman in college, start refining your resume, like even if you just have one line on a Word doc, because maybe by the time you get to your junior year of high school or junior year of college, you'll have it so refined that you just get hired on the spot, even when you're like not able to talk and everything. And I think that's really important. I also uh, recently gave a talk with the um, Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers at OU about research. And one thing I learned at kind of in esports is that nothing is ever super serious. Like you can be, people are going to like you the more unserious you are, but that doesn't mean that you should be unprofessional. So I made a little presentation, and I was like, okay, so this is how you get into industry research. And I was being completely serious when I said it, but I said nepotism. But then I turned it into something that could be constructive, because I did use nepotism to get my job for research. But it really is, I made it like an acronym. I was like, N in nepotism means networking. And then the middle letters don't really mean anything. But then M is being able to market yourself and market your skills correctly. And I talked a lot about really like taking those skills that you learned in college or seeing things that you've learned in class in the outside world and applying it and making those connections and being able to network yourself and really market the skills that you've learned throughout college and show that you have learned something when you're talking to people, because then they'll be like, "Oh, I know this person." And then even if they can't help you immediately, they might be able to help you further down the line. And it really is about continually giving in the right effort towards your goals.
Beautiful answer. Also, beautiful squishmallows in the background. I had to point it out. Brandon, what advice would you give to a young esports interested student, whether it's on the topic of internships or job seeking? I
Wait,
think you're muted. Oh, there
my
you go.
bad. There we go. Sorry. There's so much that I can say about that. It's definitely exactly what Christine and Zach said. So it's like what I always say, or at least what someone told me, that has the thing that pushed me through everything is if you want to do something, do it. Dash, Mike Aguilar, parenthesis, move, and parenthesis Moog. So if that is what kind of stuck with me from the first night that he told me, is like, you want to do something, go do it. So for everybody that is younger, like if you're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to, if someone younger is like, oh, well, I want to be a streamer, I want to do this. And we all know like the chances for that. Like, are you setting a schedule around your schoolwork and around your work to constantly even stream for like maybe an hour for a couple viewers, or then go to the next day and like having that schedule? Are you making socials? Are you doing everything that you need to do for it? So yeah, even though the saying is like, oh, if you want to go do something, go do it, you need to have everything else that supports that. Because if you want to do something, okay, I want to go work in esports, what do I need to do? Well, I need to diversify, or I need to learn everything about this application vmix, which is a production application. So you learn the ins and outs so that you can then tell these other jobs, as you said, with your resume, and tell them, hey, I know how to work this proficiently. I know how to build graphics. I know how to reach out. I know how to talk to people. I know how to convey information that the higher ups will tell me, to where I can then convey it to everybody else in more of like their terms that they can understand. That's probably one of the biggest things that I learned from being in OU Sports was that. But it's always for sure is like, if you want to do something, go do it. So I wanted to work in this industry, so I looked everywhere around home that could be like anywhere near that, and this was just so lucky that this place was here. So then I tried, and I showed up. I asked if I can volunteer for different things. I started learning the different people that work here, started talking to them, and then just building like repertoire with everyone through that, to where when applications were open for an opening, I applied, and they just have like, I at least have like a foot in the door. And if I didn't get chosen, then I'll just go find another place. As Zach said, the hundreds of different applications that he's applied for, it's for sure gone the same way for everything in esports. So even if you're still struggling and you can't find it, like, it took me the whole entire time I started doing like shoutcasting, from when I started to get like my first in-person gig, and then the next one online, and then continue talking. So it's like, you never know when you're gonna get that yes, and you get a lot of no's, but you should always believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Yes, everybody has a support system, but at times it's a lot of just you. I was away from San Antonio, Texas, about 8 hours north into Oklahoma, and yes, I had my family there, but it's not the same of me like grabbing them and hugging them and being okay and stuff. So I had to bet on myself, and if I wanted to do something, I go do it, and that led me to where I am now. So that definitely, if anybody's younger and you feel like the world's against you, or you feel like all this stuff is stacked against you, go with, as Christine said, never give up. Always go do something you want. And then also with Zach, it's like, it's okay to get a no. Like, just keep going. If you want something, go for it.
Yay! I love all of these suggestions. They're absolutely the same suggestions that I give to all of the current development students that have been reaching out to alumni to try to get some of that advice and some professional development help. I'm gonna just recap it though. Don't be afraid of a no. That's such an important one, not even just within job hunting, but everything in life. Just you're not gonna know unless you just ask. And the worst that they can tell you is no. That nothing else could be worse than that. And once you get over the mortifying feeling that only you feel, it gets so much easier each time. So that's a really great one. And then continuing to try and don't give up, and surrounding yourself with that network piece, despite the word nepotism. Networking is such a huge one, because it is true that the people you know, or the people that you know that know someone else, is going to be the quickest way to getting what you want. And that's honestly how I landed in my role at Generator, is because I was fortunate enough to build a very strong brand for myself when I was working in Tulsa, to the point where when Generator decided to open a new market here in Oklahoma City, my name was put on the table because I had proven my ability to do the job that they were looking for. And that's just because I, not only just networked, but really built relationships. And I think that's kind of key. Is you don't want to just go out there and meet 500 different people one time and then not really continue to build that relationship. So, it's not I'm just here to take what you have from me, but it's a give and take relationship. And I really suggest that anyone who is starting to look for internships or to look for jobs, to start building those relationships. Go on LinkedIn and look for the person that's in the role that you want to be, you aspire to be in, and reach out to them and let them know, hey, I am a junior at the University of Oklahoma, and I'm very interested in the job you're in now. Do you have 15 minutes for me to pick your brain about how you got to where you are? People love being mentors. I promise you, people love helping and being able to mentor. So just go find that one mentor that's in the spot that you want to be in and learn from them. Find out what it took for them to get into that role. And then when you are ready for that job, maybe that person will be willing to write a recommendation letter for you because they've already established, the type of person you are and how reliable you are and the type of knowledge base you have. So I think that with all four of us on this panel, we've given some students some really great advice, and hopefully we've given any potential parents, donor, sponsor, anyone that's just interested in understanding esports as a higher impact, some greater insight into, the types of long-term impact. I'm saying impact a lot today, but some long-term impacts, not just in the immediate esports space. None of us, except from Brandon, were gamers. We didn't all go into esports because we were hardcore gamers and competitive. And there's so many different avenues that you can pursue and take those soft skills into your next career. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to sign off. And if you guys want to shout out anything, here's your chance to do so. Zach, kick us off.
If anyone listening or watching has any questions for me, you can hit me up at ZACH_SATZ on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I'm always open and love to answer questions and anything regarding esports, anything, games, whatever it may be.
Christine.
If anyone wants to contact me, just hit me up on any social media, KWINUNK. To just chat. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people. I love asking questions about people. If you just need to have that kind of interview practice, or if you want to talk about Squishmallows or music or anything, that'd be cool too. So yeah, just I'm open to people talking to me in a very non-spam bot way.
Love it. Brandon.
Just like everyone else, you can find me on all socials at that woo Brandon, ThatWooBrandon. Those are all my socials that you can reach me at, and just like both of them said, that you can either reach out to me and talk about games, talk to me about like what I do now, or about anything with some of the events that we've had. If you look up Boeing Center or Techport Esports or Techport Gaming, a lot of those events and everything I help run. Like we've done Red Bull Campus Clutch. I've just had the high school league called R20, which is in tandem with TechSF, and there's just so many different things that I've got my like hand in that you can talk to me about, even production or like where to start, or if you're like, even if you're not extroverted, there's also a bunch of other ways that you can feel comfortable reaching out and trying to find your goal. So please talk to me. I'm here with all this information. As you can tell, I talk a lot, so just come and annoy me, and I will tell you everything that I have that you would like to know.
Fantastic. And to sign off, I'm Anita Lee. My handle is Ali Meowly, AHLYMEOWLY. I know it's a mouthful, but I'm the only Ali Meowly out there, so it won't be hard to find. I love mentoring, and I love talking to students and kind of helping them find their paths in life. I made a really big pivot in my own world. So I'm always a great resource for that as well. And then, of course, I have to plug Generator. So if you are a potential founder in the future and you're interested in learning about different resources here in Oklahoma, please hit me up. I'm always happy to talk innovation and all that fun stuff. And with that, I'm going to sign off. And if anyone has any other questions, just hit up OU Esports on all socials. All right, take care.